action? The man himself. Ladies and no, not that one, no. You know who I'm talking about. There he is, the POTUS with the MOTUS, Barack. We don't use his middle name, Obama. The world watched with bated breath.
I accept your nomination for President of the United States.
Oh my God, thank God, I was so sure he was gonna break up with us. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. He still thinks we can make this work. And so, America sat down, leaned forward, and waited to see if he would deliver that old Obama magic.
We believe that when a CEO pays his auto workers enough to buy the cars that they build, the whole company does better. We believe that when a family can no longer be tricked into signing a mortgage they can't afford, that family's protected, but so is the value of other people's homes. We believe the little girl who's offered an escape from poverty by a great teacher or a grant for college could become the next Steve Jobs.
We believe we can fly. He had it again. But every moment of soaring rhetoric was tempered with a more sober reality.
I won't pretend the path I'm offering is quick or easy. I never have.
We believe we can fly. But obviously flying carries with it some inherent risk. In 2008, candidate Obama painted a beautiful and vivid picture that no artist could have brought to life. Much in the way when you go to a Golden Corral, the beautiful chocolate fountain of television fame is really just an open sewer pipe of subpar fudge. But you want to believe. This was the challenge 2012 Obama faced.
Ours is a fight to restore the values that built the largest middle class and the strongest economy the world has ever known.
I believe I can touch the sky.
Truth is, it will take more than a few years for us to solve challenges that have built up over decades.
Did I say sky? I meant the shelf where I keep the juice glasses. Yes, last night the challenge for this president was to replace the audacity of hope with the more reasonable calibration of expectation. And then, ultimately, lest we still believe too fervently in the power of one man.
So you see, the election 4 years ago wasn't about me. It was about you. My fellow citizens, you were the change.
This is like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. It was us the whole time. I had no idea. I bet if we go back and watch the election again, we'll pick up all the clues.
You're the reason there's a little girl with a heart disorder in Phoenix who'll get the surgery she needs because an insurance company can't limit her coverage. You did that.
You're welcome.
You're the reason a young man in Colorado who never thought he'd be able to afford his dream of earning a medical degree is about to get that chance. You made that possible.
I'm awesome. Wait a minute. I know this grift. You did the good thing. You did the good thing. Now you're about to throw us under the bus for all the stuff that hasn't been done. Hey, and how about those unemployment numbers? You did that. I'm looking at you, audience. Doesn't feel so good when you get blamed for everything, does it? Mr. President, what do you want us to do?
We, the people, recognize that we have responsibilities as well as rights. That America's not about what can be done for us, it's about what can be done by us, together, through the hard and frustrating but necessary work of self-government.
Hard, necessary, frustrating responsibilities. But you know what? Maybe it was time for us to be brought down to earth a little bit anyway. And maybe the only person who could have done it was the one who put all that air under our feet in the first place. to it. Invesco Field, 84,000 revelers, the first presidential acceptance speech visible from space. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get to Barack Obama, please welcome the cavalcade of Hope players. Stevie Wonder, Sheryl Crow, the Rolling Stones were there, Jimi Hendrix back from the dead. I can't believe it. Oh my God, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was there. And there he is, hype we can believe in.
With profound gratitude and great humility, I accept your nomination for presidency of the United States.
Yes, great humility. A less humble man might have delivered his speech at the Grand Canyon. My God. But while the venue may not have been modest, Obama's presidential agenda surely was modest.
I will rebuild our military to meet future conflicts. I will restore our moral standing. I will end this war in Iraq. I will also renew the tough, direct diplomacy. I will cut taxes. I will build new partnerships to defeat the threats of the 21st century: terrorism and nuclear proliferation, poverty and genocide, climate change and disease.
And then on my second day, put everything back. On my second day, everything would go back to the way it was to give me something to do on my third day. And then, but if Senator Obama's positive vision of the future didn't do anything for you, perhaps I could interest you in a negative look at the past.
We love this country too much to let the next 4 years look just like the last 8. On November 4th, we must stand up and say 8 is enough.
We must take it one day at a time to restore good times and happy days. Whether you're married with children or just friends, cheers to you, Monday Night Football. But ultimately, it was a night of historic moments. The first African-American presidential nominee and a stadium full of Democrats chanting, Don't be nervous. They're not saying USA, they're saying Boo SA. Well, it certainly can't get freakier than that. It's Brooks and Dunn's Only in America. It's the exact same song Republicans played in 2004 after President Bush's acceptance speech. The only slight difference, very slight, the Democrats' version was sung by Albert Brooks and Nora Dunn. And then the real spectacle began. The crowd was showered with soy-based change-fetti, and unable to contain itself any further, Mile High Stadium ejaculated. 10:09 Eastern Standard Time, John Kerry approached the podium and came out strong.
I'm John Kerry, and I'm reporting for duty.
Well, he got stronger.
I will be a commander-in-chief who will never mislead us into war.
I don't understand what that's in reference to.
I will have a vice president who will not conduct secret meetings with polluters to rewrite our environmental laws.
Why would a vice president conduct secret meetings? I would think that goes without saying.
I will have a secretary of defense who will listen to the advice of the military leaders.
Have they ever not?
And I will appoint an attorney general who will uphold the Constitution of the United States.
That one's Ashcroft. I get that one. I know that one. That was Ashcroft he was talking about. The other one, no, that was Ashcroft. But for all of Kerry's surprising directness, some issues remained cryptic.
And let's never misuse for political purposes the most precious document in American history, the Constitution of the United States.
Misuse the Constitution for political. What is he talking about? Gay people want to do what? But in the end, Kerry's case was based on his patriotic street cred.
You see that flag up there? We call her Old Glory.
Let's burn that bitch. It was time for the man and the answer we've all been waiting for. Will he or won't he?
I accept your nomination for President of the United States of America.
Yes! I win the bet! Pay up, world's stupidest man. The bulk of Al Gore's speech focused on that bothersome thing called substance.
We will honor the ideal of equality by standing up for civil rights and defending affirmative action. We will balance the budget every year and dedicate the budget surplus first to saving Social Security. I will not go along with a huge tax cut for the wealthy at the expense of everyone else. And let there be no doubt, I will protect and defend a woman's right to choose.
But what will you do about the midnight dumpers? They're killing us! All right. When the speech was over, it was time to relax, kick back, and get a little freaky.
Always be the fighting policy.
The people of the great state of Massachusetts respectfully request that you get a room.